What's going on, guys? Alan here with Parrots&Co, and I have my Senegal Parrot, Elfie, aka Mr. Elfie Wealthy. And in this video, I wanted to talk about hormonal parrot behavior and really how to go about dealing with it, right? A couple preventative measures that you can take from minimizing it as much as possible, which is always the best thing we can do, is prevention. And then from there, what to do when it happens, and kind of how to tell when that parrot hormonal behavior really comes about, right? So first things first, you're gonna most likely, if not, you've already seen it happen in adult birds. This is going to happen around the springtime or late spring, which is known as the parrot mating season, right? And in the parrot mating season, you see a lot of your pet parrots go from cute and cuddly, or at least they tolerate you for some people, to downright naughty birds who are getting aggressive, lunging at you for no reason. Maybe they're getting a little aggressive around the cage, or they're basically just acting different, maybe regurgitating food for you, doing their little mating dance, their little sexy dance, and you really don't know what to do about it, or maybe how to go about taking action once it happens, right? So the parrot mating season is something that's going to happen to all parrot owners. The next big shift you'll see from that is when a bird goes from adolescence or from being a baby to full on being an adult bird. That's when you'll see a lot of hormonal triggers, and very much so you can have a very nice baby cuddly bird that, you know, gets hormones, dealing with those hormones, and then becomes aggressive as an adult for a short period of time. And basically you're going to see that your parrot starts to act different around the parrot mating season when hormones are triggered. This can be things from cage aggression to trying to bite, to protecting its food, protecting its cage, maybe creating a nesting site altogether. You might even see your parrot doing a little funny mating dance. I know that Senegal's, or Alfie specifically, has a little mating dance where his wings go low, he starts making these clicking sounds, and he starts walking like a two-step, walking around back and forth, bobbing his head back and forth, which is pretty cute to watch, but we all know that basically means, that's something that we don't want to encourage in our parrot. Another thing that can really stimulate your parrot is touching it in the wrong parts of its body. This can be anything from under the wings, the soft underbelly side, stroking its back, basically anything that's not, your parrot's head. You can be stimulating it to become hormonal, whether or not it is, parrot hormone season, so to speak. So what do we do now to minimize it and prevent it if possible? Well, first things first, you want to look at your parrot's environment, right? What are we doing to minimize hormonal behavior? And usually a parrot's going to be most protective of where it lives, which is going to be its cage. So a lot of things that I would recommend to prevent egg laying in females as much as possible, to overt aggression in males, is to make sure that you don't have anything in your cage that has to do or can be used as nesting material. Oftentimes you'll find parrots will start building nests at the bottom of their cage or specific areas, or if you have one of those triangle little tree huts that I see some parrot owners have, these like holes and burrows are all going to act as potential nesting sites and are going to trigger these hormones in your parrots. So remove them as much as possible. If you have straw, if you have anything that can be used as nesting material, you want to go ahead and remove that as much as possible, right? And then from there moving forward, the next thing that we can do is make sure that we're feeding our parrot the proper diet, right? We're feeding our adult birds twice a day, and part of what can trigger hormones as well is if you're feeding your parrot food that's too rich in fats or carbohydrates, or anything that it can use to basically fluff up, gain weight, and it's going to be looking for a lot of in the springtime when it is mating season for your parrot. So what does a good diet look like? Usually you're going to want to find a balance between a nice healthy chop and a nice healthy pellet as well that's not too high in sugar. This is basically the feeding system that I have for Alfie, where I can take a lot of his chop that's pre-made, freeze it, dry freeze it, remove all the moisture, feed it to him in the morning, and then have his pellets in the afternoon. Having that proper balanced diet that doesn't have to do with overfeeding too much food is going to be essential. A lot of things that I track as well with Alfie is his weight. I weigh him basically every single day in the morning after he's gone poop, and I track his weight to make sure that he's at a good weight. If he's getting too low in the weight, we increase his food, but it's also a good way to get feedback from Alfie if he tries to, for example, sometimes ask for more food than he really needs, because I know he's training well, he's reacting really good to feedback, but sometimes throughout the season, spring to fall to summer to winter, I'm still going to be adjusting, sometimes feeding a little bit more, but I'm not careful to overfeed and stimulate or trigger kind of hormonal behavior, especially in the springtime, when it's kind of natural for parrots to want to bulk up, so to speak, if you have a male. Another thing that you want to keep consistent is to optimize your parrot's sleep and light cycle. The onset of spring means longer daylight. If your parrot is getting more daylight than usual, and it's awake longer, it's not getting 12 hours of sleep minimum, this can also trigger your parrot to get into that hormonal stage in the springtime. So what I do with Elfie is I cover him with a double blanket cover. I usually like to leave the window open. He's not next to the window to get a cool breeze and get that air in. But that way I can really control and make sure that the room he's in with blackout curtains stays dark, and he wakes up at a specific time during the day and sleeps at a specific time to keep that consistent as possible. Even little things like the change in moisture, the onset of spring, maybe there's more humidity, maybe it's getting warmer, can also trigger your parrot. So for the most part, Elfie has a humidifier as well, to just keep the air cool and clean, but that's more so for his health and making sure that he's getting good quality air in the room he sleeps in. It's also my office. So that's another thing to take into account. Next, I would also recommend that you don't stop handling your parrot. So keep handling your parrot, even if it starts showing signs of aggression. Like the other day with Elfie, he was Mr. Tough Guy, and the day before he was Mr. Nice Guy, right? So I can tell it's the beginning of spring now. He's right on cue with, or right on time with the change in light. He's starting to get more aggressive, only in his cage. And what I mean by aggressive is, if I look at him, like I was in my office the other day, I was looking at him and he was just kind of hanging out, and I was like, hey, I was working. I was like, what's going on, Alfie? I looked at him, and he, I made eye contact with him, and he didn't like that. So he got all fluffed up, ran from one end to the cage and to the other, and then he lunged at me. Basically, he's saying, I don't like you looking at me. I don't like you looking at my space. You're looking at my territory, and I don't like that. And I know that's one of the things he's done before. It was closer to the end of spring, early summer last time, and he had the same behavior. So I know kind of what's happening with Elfie. And it's one of those things where you still want to handle your parrot, ignore him. You don't, always ignore the behavior that you don't like. Encourage the behavior you do. So try not to take it personal. He's going through some things right now. He can't help it. Still love Elfie, still take him out of his cage, make sure you still interact with your parrot so they don't start going backwards and start, losing their social ability or becoming less socialized because you stop handling them and they're just in their cage all the time. And the main thing I would also say is keep socializing your parrot, keep interacting with it. Don't take this personally. This is something that's going to happen to all parrots at a different stage or another. And, do your best to minimize this hormonal behavior, especially during mating season. Still work with your parrot. And at the end of the day, that he or she's going to come out of this as your still loving feathered friend. But that's it for this quick video, guys. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't already downloaded it, check out the how-to guide on parrot nutrition, feeding, and motivating your parrot to train, called the Parrot Shot Formula, in the description section below. I've gotten really good feedback from other subscribers and other viewers on social media, so that's a good place to start if you're looking to take your parrot training to the next level. We start with the fundamentals, and thank you guys for watching. Elfie and I are signing out for the day. We will see you guys next time.